Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Gourmet Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Flying solo here on this glorious Sunday, March the 16th. Getting ready for just a little more draft talk. And obviously some news still coming out of free agency as people are trickling in and signing to teams. We've got a little bit more information on some of the contracts as well. But we're going to dive into a whole bunch of things geared around the Packers. Hopefully everybody's having an awesome morning. If you would, hit that like button on the way in. Jacob may be joining us here momentarily. We'll see. Tim's still recovering. We'll give Tim another day or two so he can get to feeling better. Obviously, there's a little bit of a snowstorm blowing through Green Bay today, and it's still chilly out there. So hopefully he's got his Snuggie on the couch, drinking a little coffee and watching the show that way. But good to see everybody in the chat. We got Mr. Jass in the house. We'll just leave it at that. So Turtles, AFAM says happy Austin 316 day. Same to you, sir. See what you did there. Joyce Martha, snow and more snow. I was looking at that earlier today in Green Bay, and they're in the upper Wisconsin area. Man, a lot of snow blowing through still. It's been pretty nice down here. We've got some tornadoes rolling through, so luckily we've dodged the majority of those storms. I'm going to cool off next week and then, of course, get right back up around, I don't know, it looked like it might reach 80 here in the next 5 or 6 days, so we'll see what happens down here. Aaron in the house, good to see you. But I'm just going to start calling you Aaron instead of 2-0 for this, man. I hate it, but that's what we'll do. Good morning to you, sir. Prince in the chat, good morning to you. Yeah, Prince says 3 inches of snow. I was doing yard work yesterday, right? So go home, old man River. You're winter, you're drunk, right? There's no doubt about that. Down here, it's been kind of the same, man. One second it'll be really hot, and the next second it'll be chilly. But that's it goes with the territory, right? Let's do this. Let's dive into a little news across Twitter real quick. Spotrac actually put this out. Kirk Cousins has now guaranteed himself $331.6 million earned on the field across 14 seasons. And if you think that sounds like a lot of money, it is. Tom Brady, over the course of 23 seasons, only earned $332 million. So, again, I'd put a tweet out just saying congratulations to the Minnesota Vikings contributing to this holy overpay. And as Andrew Brandt says, he will go down into the what is it he says? The Business of Sports Hall of Fame, I think is what he calls it, talking about the best contracts that probably weren't earned. So Kirk Cousins, man, $331 million he's made. And that's guaranteed, right? That's not, hey, he might have the contract suggested that, but he missed some games, missed some game checks or what have you. That's guaranteed money. And that's why it's important to look at the guaranteed money as opposed to the overall contract. And we talked about it, during the Aaron Rodgers fallout with Green Bay and how everybody had him stamped as the $50 million quarterback. It's funny, it don't seem like a whole lot of money now, but obviously you need to focus on the guarantee to get the true value of the contract. And that's why when you really dig into this year's free agency with the Packers, on the surface, overall money in the contracts looks like they spent 6th or 7th most. When you look at the guaranteed money, it's not near as bad, right? Like we had talked about with Aaron Banks, how his contract looked like, holy cow, that was one of the most expensive free agents this year. And then when you look at the guaranteed money, it's somewhere down around 10th or 11th. So that's why it's, like I said, important just to kind of keep those things in check and in perspective, I guess you could say. Aaron Timothy says, call me whatever, just don't call me Shirley. There you go. Some of you guys got that from the, what was that, Naked Gun, am I thinking right? Back in the day? Such a good movie. Back when OJ was not on the run, right? So Turtles, no wonder why he's okay with Penix starting. Yeah, there you go. Again, man, them keeping him on the roster, it kind of made sense because you can either eat the dead cap or have him as a solid backup, right? Now he played bad last year. There's no two ways about it. But I think the thing about quarterback, and we talked about it time and time again, it's the most important position in football. Obviously, it goes without saying. But the other aspect of that is the team you put around him, regardless if it's a good team or not a good team, quarterbacks are going to get more praise than they deserve, and they're going to get more criticism than they deserve. But that's the nature of the beast, man. That's why they get paid the most, and it is the most important position for sure. As Joyce Martha says there, Andrew Brandt has Kurt in the Hall of Fame of earnings. There's no doubt. Should be Hall of Shame, right? For the amount of money that he's made without actually some would agree that he hasn't earned it. But and then, of course, 2-0 for this says Tom Brady used witchcraft on the field and Kurt used witchcraft in negotiations. And I'll tell you, man, you say witchcraft and look who pops in on the show here. What's up, Jacob? How you doing?
Hey, buddy. How we doing?
I was just sitting here poking a little fun at the Minnesota Vikings and the fact that they contributed to the fact that Kirk Cousins has now guaranteed himself $331.6 million over 14 seasons, while Tom Brady only earned $332 over 23 seasons. So pretty wild. He's sitting down there on the bench in Atlanta just cashing the checks.
Man, yeah, that guy got paid, dude. Holy moly. Yeah. And now, is there still talks that he's going to be going to another team, or have they solidified him as just being a sit and start or a backup there, getting paid absolute bank?
I wouldn't rule out anything at this point, but I think right now it seems like he's going to be sitting on the bench and making that money. And, of course, I don't know, man. As a team, you got to be looking up. If Penix struggles, people in that locker room, especially people on a one-year deal, and they're kind of like, hey, look, I'm playing for my football life here. And if this rookie starts struggling, why are we paying that quarterback all that money to sit on the bench? It just, I don't know, it opens a window for controversy. You know what I'm saying? So I think right now the plan is he's going to stay on the roster. But like I said, man, never say never, but never, right?
I mean, I just imagine a fan base like Atlanta. I mean, shoot, there was 10% of the Packers fan base. It's like, put Malik Willis in. You know what I mean? Imagine if you got a guy like Kirk Cousins on the bench making like 60 mil. It's like, all right.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. It's one of those things in sports that the most popular player on the team is the backup quarterback always. You know, it's just the way it goes for sure. Prince says trade market for Cousins low until Rodgers and Wilson land somewhere. That's a good point too, Prince. Like there could be an injury occur, right? There could be an injury occur in training camp that a team that might be a contender, and I don't want to start naming them off, but you know, just takes one or two teams to go, crap, we're a quarterback away. What if Kirk Cousins could patch this together? I mean, think about the top contenders. Like you got the Eagles, right? Obviously, they just won the Super Bowl. You got the Chiefs. They're always in the hunt. Trying to think of who. Ravens,
Bills.
That's another one, right? Yeah, Bills. Like, God forbid one of their starting quarterbacks go down. You'd like to think, okay, well, that's the end of their season. But you never know, man. They might pull the trigger. Restructure a couple contracts, kick some cap down the road, and bring in a Kirk Cousins to try to win it. I don't think that's the answer. I don't want to misconstrue what my thoughts are on Kirk Cousins. I think his best football is probably behind him, and he was a solid quarterback for a long time. There's no doubt, but that's the perfect example of how someone who got franchised multiple times in Washington and then took that and leveraged it. Like, yeah, okay, I'll play under 1 year. Next year, I'm due up for more guaranteed money. That's how that happens, as opposed to accepting a long-term contract and obviously less guaranteed money, a little more security, that type of thing. But, yeah, it's interesting for sure. I want to give a shout-out to Greg S. He sent me a direct message here on the Patreon group. He said, hey, Clayton, I was thinking it would be cool to ask people who are going to the draft to share their pictures/experiences on Patreon or tag the show on socials. It might bump up your channel's interaction and let the rest of us get to experience what it's like there. I want to say this, Greg. I could care less about bumping the social channels up for that. I think that's a great idea. There's going to be some people that aren't going to be able to make it to Green Bay for the draft, and I hate it for them. Let's all do everything we can that's hearing my voice, whether you're on the podcast, you're on the live stream here on YouTube, X, or Rumble. And let's make sure we share that experience. You could tag me and I can retweet it out. That way everybody they can just follow the social, and let's definitely light up the Patreon group with all of our experience as well. I think it's going to be great. And I've had several people reach out, hey, what's the plan? What are we doing? What we're probably going to do, the goal is to still do a live stream because, you know, the majority of our listeners, our viewers are not going to be at the draft, right? I think it kind of goes without saying. So I would hate to just cut them out of the experience altogether where we would normally do a draft show, right? So my personal plan here, and this doesn't apply to Jacob or anyone else, you guys can do what you want to do. You're welcome to join just like we normally do. But I'm going to be at the draft on Thursday early, just taking in the experience. And then about an hour before the draft starts, I'm going to go ahead and head over to where we're staying, and we're going to have a makeshift studio set up, and we're going to do a live stream for the first round of the draft. I'm going to do the same thing for the second and third round as well. But my plan is probably on day 3 for the whatever it is, 4th through the 7th. We'll just go to the draft, take it all in the last day before we have to fly out, obviously later in the week. So
look what Chris ends, or Chris the casual says. Chris, if you knew how much that we say that before we go live.
Every time, man. It's almost guaranteed before we hit the go live button, we say, F it, we'll do it live. Stupid thing sucks. So
hey, look,
you guys don't know what that is. Just go Google or YouTube. Probably YouTube, it gets you there quicker. If you YouTube, who was it? Who was
Bill
that?
O'Reilly, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bill O'Reilly. Google or YouTube Bill O'Reilly, do it live, and just enjoy the show. So
we got Nathaniel Crenshaw says, "Hey, Patriots fan here. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Welcome. Man? Hey, appreciate you swinging through. I follow the Patriots pretty closely, believe it or not, Nathaniel. I respect everything that organization has done in creating that dynasty, and I know there's a lot of optimism in Patriots land right now with your boy Vrabel back in town. I think that was a good hire. I really do. I didn't care much for the Gerard Mayo hire. I don't want to make this controversial. You may love Belichick, you may hate Belichick, you might like him and think it was his time up, but I love listening to God, what's the podcast? Patriots Unfiltered, if that's what it's still called. They do an excellent job with their podcast service and covering the team, and you get to know, what is it, Paul Perillo, oh my God, what a nut. He's like the crazy uncle, right? The crazy uncle at every Thanksgiving that you just know he's going to say something off cuff, and he's just a get off my lawn guy. I love his orneriness. I grew up around a half a dozen guys like that as a kid that were just always pissed off at the world. Jacob, you always see him smoking a cigarette going, just, miserable at all times. But he says, I'm excited to see my Patriots future with Drake May. Hey, I think Drake May look good. I do. I think you guys have got a solid quarterback, and he's only going to get better if he's, obviously brung along the right way. And man, you got a lot of pieces you put in place this year, right? And this free agency, and you got a lot of draft capital, so it's going to be a lot of fun to see what they do, man, for sure. I think there's a lot of parallels, Jacob, to the Patriots and the Packers, in my opinion. Fan base is one of the most passionate, obviously, and the cold weather up there, they play outdoors like grown ass men. I appreciate and respect that, as opposed to these other teams that they want to go inside now. So yeah, welcome. Appreciate you dropping through on the stream, man. That's awesome. So, Greg, we'll do that, though, man. Just so you know, we will make sure that the people who didn't make it to the draft, we're going to give you guys all kinds of pictures, videos. It's going to be a good time. But, yeah, we will definitely be meeting up there and getting group pictures and all that good stuff, too. So it'll be fun. I'll tell you somebody we didn't waste money on, Jacob, is our boy McManus. And I want to give a shout-out to one of the fellow followers here at PFHOF Ambassador. It's a Pro Football Hall of Fame ambassador. He tags me in several tweets anytime Green Bay talk comes up. And he said Brandon McManus, Packers kicker, has made 95.2% of his field goal attempts for the Packers. The only Packer to have a career field goal percentage of over 90% with a minimum of 10 field goal attempts per Pro Football Reference. And, of course, he did all the good hashtags, Go Pack, Go Green Bay, all that good stuff. So he is the only kicker in Packers history, Jacob, to hit over 90% of his field goals. And, like I said in the tweet here, I'm not expecting Brandon McManus to continue at this rate, but if he finishes 85% plus on field goals, it's money well spent. You know what I'm saying? I think some fans expect him to hit every single kick. It's amazing how when we were talking about bringing him back, there was a multitude of fans on Twitter that were going, yeah, but he missed that kick in the playoffs. It's like,
hey, shut up.
What are we talking about? What are we doing?
You know what's crazier? Yeah, sorry. You know what's crazier is that when we were having this kind of I wouldn't say it was an argument, but we were going back and forth about, like, well, who are we going to sign? Like, there's no kickers out there that are hitting 90% of their kicks. It's just not a thing. And that was when we were talking about free agency, and right. McManus was still tied up in that stupid crap that he was. And then lo and behold, look, we signed him. Everybody kind of scratched their head like, who's this guy? And then talk about a dude that probably had a chip on his shoulder. They wanted to prove that he's worth it, that he wants to be in this league, that he deserves to be in this league. I mean, between him and our Irish boy booting that ball, I mean, I love our kickers, man. And I don't ever – it's not usually a highlight of any team. It's like, you should see our kickers. It's like – but I'm telling you, man, I got a lot of faith in both of these guys for different reasons. You know, McManus, like you said, just been as reliable as all can be. And then why can't I remember our punter's name? What am I trying to say here?
Daniel Whelan.
Daniel Whelan. Thank you.
I do the same thing, man. I'll get to talking and ranting and rambling, and next thing I'm like, I can't. Who's our quarterback again? Like I just completely freeze.
He's got the sweetest mother, you know, big time fan of his. Obviously, it's just like all of a sudden, you know, we've talked about how a lot of fans go against Rich being the special teams guy, but look at, you know, obviously he doesn't have a lot probably to do with signing certain players, but once you do sign him and you get him there, I mean, could you ask for anything better than McManus and our Irishman over there? I mean, it seems like it's solidified that position quite well.
And the big thing, I remember laughing when they signed Whelan and he has such a high RAS, because when you think of an RAS score, you immediately think of, okay, how fast is a guy? How strong is a guy? How quick is a guy, right? I don't necessarily think of the measurables when I think of RAS. So when he had an RAS of over 9, I'd have laughed like, hey, there you go. We got us an athlete. But then when you see him with that, however tall he is, 6'4", 6'5" frame, when a high snap comes and him being able to handle it, and also having the wingspan and the athletic ability, it sounds silly, but the athletic ability to handle a bad snap. One thing that has not got enough praise is how Daniel Whelan has taken care of the kicking problem that we had. Like he makes the kicker better, in my opinion, the way he handles the snaps. And then obviously as a long snapper, if you're Matt Orzik, you got to feel really good. It's going to sound bad when you bend over and look between your legs and see Daniel Whelan back there, because you know it's going to be really, really hard to snap it over his head. You know what I'm saying? He seems to handle it really well. So I think it's huge. I think for the longest time we can't believe we just said it on there. We really, really wanted the special teams to just kind of be stable from the kicking standpoint, the punting standpoint. Just don't get a kick blocked. You know what I mean? That type of thing. Just snap the ball accurately. We've got that now. And I think that for the people that want to run Rich Bisaccia through the mud, you got to give them praise for fixing that, you know, because it has gotten better. There's no doubt. So I see here. Yeah. Clint says, no worries on the kicking game. Amen. It's just kind of, listen, you're going to miss one or two. You're going to have one blocked every now and again. There's going to be things that happen. But gone are the days of every single time the special teams went, I went, oh, no, this ain't good. Let's just hope Aaron and these receivers and Aaron Jones can fix this on when we get the ball back, is how it always felt, you know. So, yeah, excited about the future of special teams for sure. You know, it was this time last year, Jacob, that we made this big signing, and I just searched Xavier McKinney on my Twitter feed just to try to remember, okay, how did I feel about this? What did we put out, right? And I got to be careful with some of this, so we'll just cover this up. I showed 2 plays as I went back and watched the tape when we signed Xavier McKinney last year. I said, Xavier McKinney, 2 defensive snaps in 30 seconds, 2 interceptions. And I can't remember who they were playing. Again, I got to keep that off the screen because the AI will grab it like we're trying to show a live game and we'll get flagged. But first play, he was playing single high safety, and the second play was in man coverage, jumping the smoke route, both in the middle 8. You're talking about a guy that just can take over a game, and you see that when we signed him, you're going, man, he did this for the Giants. Will he do it for us? Bang. Look at what happened. He was second in the league in interceptions, if I remember correctly. So excited that Xavier McKinney's a Packer, and it's cool looking back at some of these tweets on how we felt last year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Can you imagine, though, being the Giants front office and having to go back and explain, yeah, we let Xavier walk, and yeah, we let Saquon go, and he went to our arch rival, and yeah, they won the Super Bowl basically specifically because we let him go and he bolstered that backfield there in Philly. But, you know, can I have more money? It's like, no, dude, you are the worst. I can't believe. And they let Danny Dimes go. What if Danny Dimes goes to where did he get signed at? Was it the Saints or something like that? Like, what if he goes somewhere?
The Colts, right?
The Colts, that's right. When he's going to go compete against Richardson, which I don't understand how Richardson's an NFL quarterback. So I'm pretty sure Danny Dimes is going to go in there and actually become a starter. What if he leads that team to success? You got Saquon over in the Eagles, and then obviously you have just absolutely making our defense one of the best that we've had in a long time. Can you imagine just being that guy? Wasn't that the same guy that, if I'm not mistaken, was in the draft and he's like, "Hey, son, who should I draft?" Like publicly,
Yes,
literally just
Jaden Daniels.
what the hell are you doing, dude?
Right. It's like that cracks me up, man, that a kid can call out a better draft choice than a GM, right? But
Yeah.
the Giants are the Giants, and it's crazy because for the longest time, way back in the day, they were that team that was kind of the standard in the NFL. Many people don't know that, but back when Lombardi was the offensive coordinator and Tom Landry was the defensive coordinator, and they were just dominating the National Football League. And then it's just like, I don't know, man. They had their run. Don't get me wrong. In the early 2010s, they almost put a damn dynasty together. But you run Tom Coughlin out of town, and next thing you know, you haven't recovered. It just I don't get it. I don't understand why they make the decisions that they make, for sure.
I always forget. Didn't Eli win a bowl?
Super Bowl?
Yeah,
he won 2.
Yeah, it was the 2.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he won 2. Yeah,
I mean, I remember the one with the helmet catch, right? Like the craziest.
Yeah. And people will look at that and go, "Well, he got bailed out by Tyree." Are we going to forget the fact that he had guys draped all over him and he's literally shrugging them off and making the throw? Like, yeah, you guys correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure Eli won 2, right? Yeah, he has more Super Bowls than Aaron Rodgers. He beat Brady twice. Holy cow! So yeah, it's everything's a blur when you get to my age, man.
Yeah, yeah.
But I did put this up as well. We could probably show that one if we want to, but that was just we better not. It'll get flagged for coaches. You never know when the stream is going to go down, and we've tried to. If you guys haven't noticed, we try to get really, really good at not allowing the stream to go down. Even though we're allowed to use this stuff, the AI will kick the stream off and then come back up. We're trying to make it as convenient for you guys as possible. But I said Jeff Hafley's first year in the books, the Packers finished with the following rankings: scoring, they were 6th. The year before, under Joe Barry, they were 13th. Rushing defense, they're 3rd. In 2023, they were 25th. Passing defense finished 10th. In 2023, they were 18th. And then takeaways, we finished 4th. In 2023, we were 22nd. Now, I said Xavier McKinney finished 2nd in the NFL with 8 interceptions. So it's easy, kind of like the conversation we had last night, that it's easy to go, Joe Barry was that bad. If you remove Xavier McKinney's interceptions from this year, where does this team finish on defense?
Right.
I mean, you really got to think about that. If you've got Savage back there playing post safety as opposed to X, you're probably thinking their scorings. To be honest with you, if you're missing those 8 interceptions, their takeaways will probably finish in the middle of the pack, maybe the second, the bottom half of the league. Their passing defense probably would have been closer to 14 or 15 as opposed to 18th without those interceptions. The same thing with the not necessarily with the rush defense, but probably with the scoring, you probably would have dropped a couple spots. So just one player can make that big of a difference at a key position. And there were some people that laughed at me over saying that safety and post safety is that tier 2 position of importance. That's what we're talking about, guys. When you can put solid players in the middle of the field, like my tier 2 positions are post safety and mock linebacker, right? Well, what happened last year? We added one of each, although Edgerrin Cooper isn't technically a mock. You see him play in the middle of that defense underneath. It changes the whole dynamic because you've got 3 extra defenders on each side of the field. So you got 6 extra defenders. If you lock down the middle of the field and you make that your focal point, and that's why I'm not as big on cornerback as I am post safety and mock linebacker. If you lock down the middle of the field, what ends up happening is you've now got the offense has got to attack the outside out of the hashes. Well, in my opinion, you've got 3 extra defenders on both sides of the field. That's called the out of bounds line. So if you kind of funnel everything away from the middle of the field, it's going to help your chances. Does that make sense? Like that's just my pea brain. That's how it operates.
That makes a ton of sense. I was actually going to bring up, when you were talking about how one player can make a difference. 2 is even better. When we talked about X was plug and play from the beginning, absolute start. What's up, Hardy? How you doing, bud? But like we talked about earlier, Edgerrin Cooper he is a difference maker. And if you have 2 of those guys, so you got one in the secondary, one in the middle linebacker room, we need somebody in the defensive line to be that type of player. We need somebody to step up because that could complete this absolute defense here. And then you look at those numbers there. I really like Jeff Halfley. I didn't think that he was going to come in and have such an immediate impact. I mean, because it really did. You look at those numbers: 6th to 13th, 3rd to 25th, 10th to 18th, 4th to 22nd. I mean, something happened, and it wasn't just a snap of the fingers. Jeff Halfley came in there. He inspired these guys to do better. And I think that they still haven't even cracked the potential of what they could do. This guy is absolute dog. He's got dogs now that are willing to play, that have bought in. If Jair comes back and he's willing to be the Jair of old, I think it was Judah Time here says the takeaways is why we need number 23 back. Big X was able to be to capitalize when 23 was on the field.
That's true.
Completely agree. I completely agree. Imagine, I mean, there's no reason to think that Jair does not make this team worse, right? So it's just whether or not he wants to buy in, if he wants to be that kind of locker room guy. I don't know what went on last year. There was obviously something there that kind of had a little dust up that clearly was a little bit public in certain aspects. But if we can get past that, and if this guy wants to come here, put his head down and play, I mean, the sky is the limit for this defense, man, especially depending on what we add in the draft. If we get a couple like studs, if we get a 3-tech that could be, you know, like an Xavier or an Edgerrin type of plug and play, like just difference maker, I'm excited, man.
Yeah. And again, Hardy, thank you for the super chat, but we appreciate you. We'll get that jersey right out to you, man. Congratulations on winning that. Thanks for supporting the stream. Yeah, and what Judah Tom says there, look, there's a lot of truth to it. The takeaways is why we need 23 back. X was able to capitalize when 23 was on the field. And what he means there is maybe you don't attack the boundary as often if you know Ja's there. And you might try to funnel your attention towards the middle of the field, and that's where X is lurking, right? I think that's a great point. But in my opinion, where we need the most help, and again, we're talking about forget players' names, forget their ratings, forget everything about your roster. If you're building a roster from the ground up, in my opinion, you need to start with the 3-tech. You need to do right in the middle of the defensive front. That's a stud, hands down. If you have that, and then you can add an edge defender opposite of him, that's where you can really the offense can no longer double team both those guys unless they're going with a max protect call. And now you've got 5 or 6 guys in coverage covering, 2 or 3, and you're good to go, right? So with that being said, what do we have in place right now? We don't have a 3-tech. I personally believe, and I think there's many fans that disagree, but I think we've got a solid edge defender in Rashawn Gary. Okay. Well, now we've got Edgerrin Cooper in the middle playing linebacker. So we're good there at tier 2. And then also at tier 2 post safety, you've got Xavier McKinney. So you're good at those 2 tier positions. You've got a solid edge defender. Go get a 3-tech. If you can go, and listen, it's easier said than done. I'm not sitting here going, God, for God's sakes, guys, can we just go get a 3-tech? They're not growing on trees. The great ones aren't, right? But in a draft like this one this year, you might want to take 2 swings early and make sure you get that guy. What did we do last year, Jacob? We took Javon Bullard and we took Evan Williams. I could have cared less about the Evan Williams draft pick. Like, we got Bullard, baby. Let's go. We got us a safety. Yep. Guess what? He didn't play good at safety. But because we double dipped on a position of need, you hit on Evan Williams, you're good, right? That's why it's important to take those multiple swings. And I feel like that's what you need to do at 3-tech. And who knows, LVN might pop this year. Now you got 2 solid edge defenders and you got a 3-tech. Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit.
Chris, talking about Derek Harmon. I mean, it does seem as if we're getting closer and closer to this draft deadline that like 3-tech just seems just like it's blaring. It's just highlighted in like neon colors. Like, get this guy. I mean, whether it be Harmon, Walter Nolan, if Grant were to fall, if any of these people were to be around in that position, I find it really hard to believe that Goody doesn't pull that trigger. And maybe, it's a situation where, God willing, that like there's like 2 or 3 of them available when we pick, we can trade back, still get the guy that we like, or at least a guy that we think could be a plug and play 3-tech, and then go forward with it. I mean, I do believe that, in my opinion, Harmon is probably the best. I mean, you look at how much production that guy had. It's just unreal. And we've talked about multiple episodes where it's like, it's not just the sack numbers, it's the hurries, it's the pressures, it's the way that they can disrupt the offensive play, where it's you can't put a price tag on that. I mean, it is just invaluable. Like, you look at, I mean, a guy like Aaron Donald, if you could ever find anybody that's half of the man that Aaron Donald is, that just you could put in your defense, and it's like, that guy is an absolute thunderstorm to every single plan that the offense is trying to do. It doesn't matter if you got him scripted. It doesn't matter if you pre-plan, what you're going to do. Aaron Donald is going to mess up your exact plan to the point of like where it's not functional. We need to find somebody that's a difference maker like that.
Yeah. And the chat seems to be on board with what Chris said here. Harmon, Deadfish says Grant and Harmon would be nice. That would be awesome if you could land somehow both of those guys. Oh my God. Right. So what I did was I asked Grok this morning. I said, Grok, who are the top defensive tackles in the 2025 NFL draft? I know that some people would just kind of scoff at this and go, what does AI know, right? We've got our draft board. We've broken it down to the nth degree. I thought, let's go ask the AI, the robot, as Ryan refers to it right here with Grok. And I said, who are the top defensive tackles of the 2025 NFL draft? It pulled 6 posts and 15 web pages and compiled a bunch of information. And within 3 seconds, this is the answer. It says, as of March 16, 2025, the top defensive tackle prospects for the 2025 NFL draft are widely regarded based on their college performance, physical traits, and scouting evaluations. Here's a breakdown of some of the standout names consistently highlighted across various analysis, okay? Number 1 on the list, surprise, surprise, Mason Graham. Why he's top? Graham is frequently cited as a premier defensive tackle in this class. At 6'3" and around 318 pounds, he combines exceptional strength, quickness, and versatility. In 2024, he recorded 46 tackles, 3.5 sacks, and a pass batted, showcasing his ability to disrupt both the run and pass games. Scouts praise his leverage, explosive first step, and wrestling background. He's got the wrestling.
No.
That's right. Wrestling background, not Hulk Hogan wrestling, but real wrestling, okay, which contribute to his dominance at the point of attack. He's projected as a top 10 pick, often seen as an immediate impact starter in the NFL. I mean, they literally listed him out and gave a scouting report, right? So Mason Graham, number 1, no surprise there. Here's one of our boys, Kenneth Grant. Why he's notable. He's in the number 2 spot. Why he's notable. Another Michigan standout. Grant is a massive presence at 6'3", 339 pounds, with rare athleticism for his size, reportedly running a sub 5-second 40-yard dash. In 2024, he had 32 tackles, 3 sacks, and 5 passes defended. His ability to anchor against the run and flash pass rush potential makes him a projected first-round talent, though he may need to refine his technique and consistency. So they've got Kenneth Grant listed at number 2. So Turtles in the chat, Grant was the unsung hero on that line. It's funny, he had more batted passes than Mason Graham, right? And am I thinking right? Mason Graham was Michigan too? Yeah. So that's interesting, man. So they've got Kenneth Grant listed at 2. In the top 2 here, how do you feel about those? Is that where you've got them too, Mason Graham, then Kenneth Grant, Jacob, or do you see someone else that you like a little bit better?
No, I think that's fair there, but it is one of those situations where I believe it was Texas where they had the 2 big boys. Wasn't it the guy that went to the Titans, and then there was another one that went, and they were like, which one is better? Like, which one is actually the playmaker kind of person there? I think that maybe is a little bit going on there with Michigan, but I like that they have Deion Walker. Tim's not here, but if Tim was here, I can hear him already yelling like, hey!
I'll be damn. I know who's running Grok now. They got Tim over there working around the clock. Because number 3, again, and this lines up with our board so far, okay? So Mason Graham is the 4th best prospect on our board. We've got the wrestling emoji, just like they mentioned there. He is he's the best defensive tackle in this draft, according to our board. You got to drop all the way down to 16 to find the next one, and that is Kenneth Grant, right? There, Prince, that's a great comparison between these two. Murphy and Sweat from Texas last year, right? And who ended up being better? It was Sweat. Right? Yeah. So there you go. At least so far, it's early, right? That could change. So again, we agree with Grok. Our board agrees with Grok up to this point. This is where we part ways. They say Deion Walker is the next best defensive tackle. Now, listen, guys, if you go back to last year when the college football season wrapped up, this would have been accurate. Like Deion Walker was listed as a top 10 prospect. Like this is the dude, right? It says why he stands out. It's easy to stand out when you're 6'6", 348 pounds. Walker is a physical unicorn. Ooh, Jacob, unicorns, don't you? With impressive agility for his size. In 2024, he led all Division I defensive tackles with 45 quarterback pressures and added 7.5 sacks. His versatility to play multiple spots along the line and handle double teams makes him a high upside prospect, likely a first-round pick despite occasional stamina concerns. Now, we've got him significantly lower. Let's go through now, and I'm going to explain why he's so low on our board now, as he started off very, very strong. Where are you at, Deion Walker? Is he really that low now? Holy cow. Let me see here. Deion Walker. Jacob, we now have him in the 124 spot.
Wow.
So you talk about falling. Here's why. In 2023, his PFF grade, he was the 43rd best defensive tackle. In 2024, he dropped all the way to 257. That hurts him more than anything else on this board. Is his 2024 PFF grade really kind of sink him down significantly? PFF Big Board had him at 73 at the end of the college football season. So going into the season, they had him in the top 20, and then by the end of the season, 73rd. Okay. Consensus Big Board had him in the top 10 going into the season. He ended up being 50th at the end of the season. 33rd team had him 109th on their Big Board, and Dane Brugler had him 76. So that's why if you remove the 2024 PFF grade, he's probably going to land somewhere in the 70s for me. So somewhere between 70 to 124. Now, we'll see what happens. I don't know if they got a pro day planned or if he's going to get another shot to, show his athleticism. I don't think hardly any of these defensive tackles performed at the combine. It don't seem like anyway. So what do you think about Deion Walker, man? They're really, really high on him here. And again, they're taking all this information into account, probably from last year as well,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as big as on him as Tim is, for sure, but that size is just insane. I mean, that reminds me, remember when the Vikings had the Williams wall, Pat Williams and Kevin Williams, where they were just absolute monsters in the middle of that defense? Like, that's kind of what I'd love to have somebody that replaces that TJ Slayton role. You know what I mean? Just being an absolute just monster right there. But I don't know exactly who's going to step up if we don't get a guy like that. Like, who is going to be that guy? Kenny Clark to me is, I love you, Kenny, but I don't see him stepping up and being that absolute gap filler. I don't think there's anybody else on the roster right now that even comes close to being that type of person. So I think we definitely knew. Like,
I was just going to say, we're sitting there talking just a second ago about taking 2 defensive tackles. This kind of makes sense, don't it?
Would it make sense to do like a guy that's a quote unquote 1 tech, or like a straight up nose and a 3 tech? Did you see that? Is there anybody that you see as a standalone? Like, this dude's a nose, like put this guy on a 0. Like, he's
there's some people, they look at Deion Walker's size and they say, oh, he's a nose tackle. He's a nose tackle. Guys, he played a 5 tech last year, some too. Like, he moves all around the defensive line. That's not to say that's his best spot, but to me, I think he would best served as a 3 tech because he warrants a double team most of the time. You see here in 2024, he led all Division I defensive tackles with 45 quarterback pressures and added 7.5 sacks. And he's playing in the SEC. It's not like he's playing in the Mountain West or any of those other, crappy conferences. So the fact that he's still got pressure on the quarterback says a lot. It might be one of those things that he dropped significantly, and the closer we get to the draft, maybe he starts to creep back up. That could happen. I don't know. But hands down, our board disagrees with it strictly because of his PFF grade last year. And you guys remember Maxwell Harrison dropped on our board significantly because of his PFF grade as well. Well, guess what? Now he's creeping back up in toward the first round with that great combine performance. So we'll see, man. Next on the list, so at number 4, they have Walter Nolan listed. And it says why he's highly rated. Transferring from Texas A&M, Nolan, 6'4", around 305 pounds, had a breakout 2024 with 35 pressures and notable athleticism. His quick get off and disruptive potential in a penetrating scheme position him as a first-round candidate, though he's still developing consistency and refining his fundamentals. So Walter Nolan they have as the 4th best. We actually have Walter Nolan, I don't want to misspeak here, we have him as the 3rd best defensive tackle in this draft in the 24 spot. Okay. And why is he so much higher than Deion Walker? Mainly because in 2024, his PFF grade, he was 8th at his position. So he scored very, very well in 2024. Yeah, it looks like Walter Nolan, man, is one of those dudes that got a lot of high upside. But you got anything to add to Nolan? How would you feel about him at 23?
Yeah, the only thing that kind of scares me about a lot of these Ole Miss guys, have you noticed how many Ole Miss is in this draft? I mean, you got Jared Ivey, Princely on the other opposite side. You got Walter there. You got Chris Paul. You got the cornerback. It's like, which one of these guys, are they all that good? Or are they all kind of surfing off the other one's talent kind of thing?
Right.
It's like, I don't necessarily know if you were to put those four guys on an NFL line if they're all going to perform the way they do. But it's like, again, I really like Jared Ivey. I really like Princely. Is Walter Nolan benefiting from the fact that they have two dogs on the edge so that he's, you know what I mean, being able to penetrate that middle a little bit better. But I mean, 6'4", 305, 35 pressures. Like, no matter who's on that team, the guy's still playing. He's still getting numbers. So I like that a lot. I would be 100% on board with him, even if we took him at 23. I'd rather have Derek Harmon, but you know, we're just about to highlight him as well. I don't know. 11 Football says trade down, take Una Melon. Knucklehead Paul B says Nolan's an explosive dog, and I agree with all of that. It's just like, which one though is the dog of the dogs? Which one's the freaking, you know what I mean?
What you look for on the big board here too, and the way it's structured, you look for things that pop out to you, right? And when you look at the defensive tackles, the thing that really pops amongst all these top defensive tackles is Walter Nolan has that 5-point Senior Bowl bonus. So he flashed at the Senior Bowl too. That's something that go, okay. You know, people in the past that have flashed at the Senior Bowl, they typically turned into pretty damn good football players. So that's another thing he's got going for him for sure that helped him on our board just a touch. It is pretty cool, though. Next on this list is Derek Harmon at 5. So if you remove Deion Walker from this list, right, our board lined up absolutely perfect with Grok and who they thought were the top defensive tackles. So Derek Harmon, we've got him one spot below Walter Nolan, although they are in the same tier. Okay, so that's what you would kind of consider as a cluster there, and you got to find your cluster buster and go, okay, why would we like this guy over that guy? And you start comparing apples to apples. But here's what Grok said: why he's rising. Derek Harmon out of Oregon at 6'5", 310 pounds. Harmon's 2024 season, 42 tackles, 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, showcased his blend of size, strength, and pass rush ability. After transferring from Michigan State, he's climbed into late round or early second round projections, valued for his versatility across the line. So they're talking about how he can move around across the defensive line there. Derek Harmon, again, we've got him in the 25 spot with a 27.7 grade. Walter Nolan at a 26.9, just above him. So this literally matched up perfect with the exception of Deion Walker. What do you think about Derek Harmon?
I mean, I'm completely on board with Derek Harmon. That's kind of been my guy. It just seems like the way that the draft has been projected, the way that the mock drafts go, it's like that guy just seems to be hovering around that 23 spot. If Goody is looking to make a difference maker on that defensive line and he doesn't have to trade up, I feel like that's just a slotted in kind of gimme pick right there at 23. I'd be completely on board with it. Totally happy with it. I mean, 6'5", 310, and the guy moves like very nimbly, you know what I mean, for being that much of a beast. Like you said, the versatility, him being able, I want to say too that he had one of the most, didn't have great sack numbers, but he had like insane amount of pressures and hurries, which is, we've talked about. It's like that. I want somebody just disrupting the play as much as possible. I don't want to see it in spurts. I don't want to see like, hey, you got 8 sacks. You only had pressure on those 8 plays. I don't want that. I want a guy that's consistently in the backfield, consistently, you know, making people contemplate, like, do I want to run this way? Can I even run this? Can I do a play action? No, because it takes too much time. This guy's going to get up the field. I want them thinking about whether or not our 3 tech or our 1 tech is going to absolutely run down their throats.
Yeah. Fred McFarley in the chat says, good draft to be hunting for a D tackle. Prospect cupboard is full, no doubt about it. Clint says Harmon and versatility kind of go hand in hand there. Knucklehead Paul says they compare Harmon to Marcel Darius. Powerful. Good stuff there, man. So here's what the rest of the Grok article said here. These rankings are fluid as the draft process unfolds, with events like the NFL Combine and Pro Days potentially shifting perceptions. Other notable defensive tackles in the mix include Tyleik Williams, We've got Tyleek Williams in the 39 spot, guys. And guess what? He is the very next defensive tackle on our board. This is wild that Grok in 3 seconds put together the same exact list with the exception of Deion Walker, who was obviously rated higher last year. Then it says Dante Corleone out of Cincinnati. I have not heard that name at all. Have you?
Hey, no, I haven't.
So let me look him up. It says, and Joshua Farmer, Florida State, who could rise into the top tier with strong pre-draft performances. This class is considered deep, with analysts noting an unusually high number of potential starters, making it a strong year for teams needing interior defensive line help. Let's freaking go. What do you think about what they said there? I'm going to look up Dante Corleone, see where we got him on the board here.
Yeah, I mean, Tyleek Williams, I believe, also did I don't think he was at the combine, if I'm thinking correctly, but he did maybe like a pro day type thing, and he ran pretty darn well. I have also not heard of Dante Corleone.
He's not on my board, man. This is interesting. Maybe he's not in the draft and Grok got that wrong.
I was going to say that might be one of those people that just aren't actually coming out for the draft, but for whatever reason flagged him on the AI. Josh Farmer is an interesting case too. Like we've talked about him. I'm not the biggest fan of him. I feel like it's a lot more projection than what we've actually seen from him, which again, we've talked about. I'm done with that, man. I don't want to draft people on their potential. I want to draft them on what they've done. Drew D says he's a nose tackle for Cincinnati. And then Drew D also said that Corleone returned to school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says, I see here on DraftWire through USA Today said top defensive tackle prospect opts to return to college for 2025. So there you go.
I didn't even realize his name's Don Corleone.
Damn right. Wait, you got any questions about that, Jacob?
No.
Nope, nothing. We're good.
I'll take the gabagool.
Oh man, that's one of the things that's not known about.
That's what Prince said. Cincinnati made an offer he couldn't refuse.
That's exactly right. We need 1 or 2 Godfather sound bites is what we need, don't we? We got to get that. I'm smart. I can do that. That's what we need. We're getting it today. I'm smart. I got to find that, Mr.
Isn't that Fredo?
Yeah, Fredo. God,
don't you ever go against the family again, Fredo.
Whenever any of the guys get something right on their prediction, we'll just hit that. I'm smart. All right. So there you go. There's a little deep dive into defensive tackle prospect pool. We got wide receivers queued up. We'll hit that tonight. We've also got that Jacob Westendorf most recent Sports Illustrated mock draft for the Packers. So we'll dive into that as well. This was fun, though, man. I feel like we covered a lot of information. If the side salad is on top, I send it back. Hey, man, that's an all-time classic, The Godfather. Seriously, like I know we're in here poking fun and joking and everything, and it's loosely built off the Gambino family. You know, obviously it's a fake story, but man, just the story itself and the camaraderie that they kind of build within the movie. And then, you know, obviously you get the dark side of the mob as well. It's just perfectly done. J. Cole said, what about Goodfellas? I'm not as big on Goodfellas, but I think I'm the only person on the face of the earth that didn't like Goodfellas. I just thought it was too,
God.
Yeah, I thought it was too over the top, too just what I liked about The Godfather.
What about Casino? You like Casino?
I haven't seen Casino.
What?
Everybody said see, I'm not into the Vegas mob, bro. Like I'm old school. I'm talking about Corleone, or not Corleone. I'm talking about Gambino, Bonanno, all those, the old school original families in New York. I love that stuff. Even a little bit of the Boston mob too, obviously with Whitey and all those Whitey Bulger and all the guys.
Whitey Bulger, yeah.
Yeah. But
dude, you gotta watch Casino, man. I mean,
yeah, could you imagine though, dude? Like Deadfish, just Godfather of the defense. Can you imagine the nicknames for this cat when he comes out? I can already see it on what is it, NFL Game Day morning, them doing a little playing the Godfather music in the background while they're showing him and all that. It's coming next year. So yeah. All right, I'll watch Casino, guys. I know that was around
block out 3 hours or whatever, but it's good.
Yeah. Godfather 2 part 2 is magic is what Prince says. It's pretty solid too. I like 1 the most. 2 was good too though. You know, I thought 2 was good.
3 kind of went off the rails a little bit.
Yeah. 3 was, nobody noticed I didn't mention it, right? It's just like, all right, here we go. Let's see. Drew D, we had the Quadfather. We did moment of silence for the Quadfather. Unbelievable, man. Really did not expect that to go that way. You know what I mean? When they drafted him by year 2, I was going, oh man, we're going to have AJ for so long. By year 3, it's what happened. Year 4, it's like, okay, this sucks. Year 5 is okay, man. Good luck.
I was in Nashville in a bar watching that game where they played the Titans in the snow, and I thought AJ Dillon is the truth. Like this dude is ricocheting off of people. Like they're pew pew pew. You know what I mean? J. Cole, the Irishman sucks.
What?
It
you didn't like the
sucks.
This is what I'm realizing, guys.
Watching Robert De Niro
Jacob
kick a guy when he's 80 years old. Come on, get out.
Jacob loves movies. Jacob does not like movies that are based on historical to the point facts. That's what I'm understanding. You like the Hollywood it up, baby.
No, I do not. That is not what I like, sir.
The Irishman I thought was really good because I've known about that story forever and done a lot of research on it. I thought they did a good job with it. I'll tell you my favorite, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, and it is a fake movie, but it's based loosely on Whitey Bulger, was The Departed. Have you seen The Departed?
I love The Departed.
Dude, that's such a good movie.
I think that's one of Scorsese's best.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Velocipaster?
What is that?
It's one of the worst movies. It's one of those like intentionally horrible movies. It's a velociraptor that's a pastor. It's you have.
I love how you said that as if I'm supposed to. Yeah, okay, that sounds normal.
It's one of the worst movies ever made. Like,
but you've seen it.
Yes, I have.
Of course. Oh man. Yeah, Black Mass was good. Johnny Depp did good in Black Mass. That was based on.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Another one too, and it kind of, it's not really. I guess it could be considered somewhat mob. Public Enemy with Johnny Depp. Have you seen? Yeah, you've seen that. Yeah. Who was that for? Dillinger, right? John Dillinger.
I believe so. Yeah.
Prince says, "Cocaine Bear, F the world." Oh, that actually happened in Kentucky, didn't it? Am I thinking right?
That was based on a true story, to be honest.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was based loosely on a true story, but yeah, there was a bear that got a hold of some cocaine and lost his mind. So, yeah. All right, that's it. We've covered everything, man. We covered the mob, we covered defensive tackles, we covered Brandon McManus, and we got to the Cocaine Bears. So we're good to go. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you tonight, 7 p.m. Central for PTA Live. Y'all take care. Hit that like button. Appreciate you.
There we go. We out.
Bye, guys.